Okay, so I have Chris Subtle. I think I can set it.
Yes.
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 Do you have three middle names? Because a lot of people are
No, well, I mean, my full legal name is Shannon Christopher Subtle, but people just always have recognized me easier as Chris, so I've just kind of shortened the name after a while to Chris Subtle instead.
Yeah, that's interesting. So you're from North Carolina, and I see that you're doing all this activism and all this like great stuff for like the industry for cannabis, right? For like medical cannabis, that's like, and like decriminalizing it, and like you're doing all this stuff. But how, like, what's your like? Why are you doing this? Like, what makes you like?
The whole reason I'm doing this is because, medical cannabis saved my life. You can watch my testimony that I gave before the Senate, North Carolina Senate yesterday on Senate Bill 711 to hear that story. The main reason I'm doing this is because I wake up every day and I know that there are still people that are in prison for nonviolent drug offenses that don't deserve to be, that can't have the life that you or I deserve because they've been labeled a criminal in their own state. And that's why I created the first ever pro-cannabis PSA. I'm from an age where I grew up, I'm 44 years old. So I grew up remembering, the PSAs of, this is your brain on drugs, the, failed DARE program, the Just Say No program, all the weapons that have been used against us in the war on drugs. We have a chance to turn those weapons against our attackers and actually send the right message, and the message of the people, for the people, and by the people to any and every state that needs help. But we can't do it without support. Because with this being a grassroots funded program, I can't take political donations. I can't take large donations from any type of one corporate sponsor, because I never want them to change the message of the program. The PSA that I've designed can work for a number of different states, but its main focus is that it showcases regular citizens like myself, regular citizens like you, people that we depended on during the pandemic to make life seem a little bit less scary, even if it was just one to-go order at a time by a service industry worker who still went to work every day knowing that their life was on risk. We trusted science during that time to get us through that. And it's the same thing now. Like, we need to trust in the science behind cannabis research, but we need to get the right message to the people. And North Carolina is a very rural state. We have over 100 counties. So by having this public service announcement that can be broadcast on a statewide network, it's going to be huge to get us the support we need to either tell the people in charge, if you're not willing to get out of the way of change, then we're going to vote you out and put someone in who will help us. And so that's where we need the support.
So like, let's go back, because you put a lot of information out there, but I think like the big thing is like you're educating people about real people stories that are getting affected by the cannabis laws that are put in place by uneducated folks that don't know much about cannabis or the medical industry. So wait, like, so can you give us like an example of like what you like, what's like why is this such impactful for everybody, not just you? Because I know you have this story you can read, but wait, go ahead.
The reason this is impactful for everyone is because we have known about the benefits of cannabis for a long time. The only reason that we don't still use cannabis now is because of the smear campaign that was started by Robert Hearst and the whole reefer madness, crap that started from that. And there's people in the NCGA, our state legislature, that for some reason still believe that Reefer Madness is a documentary. Like, they're so out of touch and out of date. The reason this is so important is because cannabis needs to become a regular conversation topic in every household in America. It's the only way that we will ever stop the people dying in the dark and let them be able to grow in the light. We have to talk about it. Conan O'Brien just smoked cannabis on national television when Rogan came on his show, when he did his final show. And then Andy Richter took a hit and then made a joke about forgetting that he had a job interview at Target next week. I mean, it was a great.
But we could talk about like Willie Nelson, because Willie Nelson's been smoking weed for 90. He's 90 something years old, still smoking weed, and he admits it. I went to a concert with Willie Nelson, but at PNC Bank, he's still singing, and he's 90. And like everybody, like those commercials you talk about, I'm 29. So we had this commercial with a dog, and like, oh, this is a dog on weed, and it's like just sitting there doing nothing. I was like, what are you talking about? I smoke weed to help myself. I was like, I'm a pretty energetic person, and people know I'm energetic. So I was like, how like these stories, those PSAs weren't educational at all. Like you want to tell the truth, right? Like you want to tell.
We want to tell the truth. We want to tell the message that should have been sent all along, that cannabis is not a gateway drug. Cannabis is not something that if you legalize it medicinally and recreationally in your state is going to lead to cars bursting into fire spontaneously, children running around without clothes on, people getting murdered around every corner. Like there's so many asinine things that people believe when it comes to what cannabis legalization stands for. And that's not the case. Like, cannabis legalization will help people with PTSD. It will help people that are suffering from cancer. It will help people with a number of ailments that they are forced to take harmful prescription medications for that they don't need to take. Cannabis doesn't destroy your liver. It doesn't destroy your kidneys. It doesn't give you psychotic side effects or depression or weight gain. Mm-hmm. It allows you to be able to create the homeostasis in your body that you deserve. And that's why the message is so important and why it means so much to everyone else, because we've criminalized not just the drug, but we've criminalized the people that use it for so long that it's not part of the conversation anymore. And it should.
So and you bring a lot of content information out there, but so let's go back. Like, you used to be working the maritime industry as a.
I did. I was a professional pirate for 20 years. I played Blackbeard the pirate for the state of North Carolina. You can still see my work on Hulu right now in season 2, episode 3 of Expedition Unknown with Josh Gates. I played Blackbeard in the Blackbeard's Lost Gold episode. And I would speak at schools, universities, maritime festivals. I traveled around for a long time with the Stage Combat Pirate comedy troupe, where we did live sword fighting on stage for kids and adults alike. So it was a great time. I spent a lot of time studying a lot about maritime history and about the golden age of piracy. And there's a lot of that about New Jersey as well.
Oh, yeah. But the big thing I want to bring up is that you worked for the state, and that you're trying to be like a Robin Hood, I guess, because a lot of people know what Robin Hood did, try and give back to the poor. And like, it seems like that a lot of people just don't care about what you have to say because you're not this big, rich guy. But you worked for the state of North Carolina and try to educate people about the history of maritime. Like, that's a big, North Carolina's huge with maritime. Morehead City, Wilmington. You go down the beach and like everything is we're on maritime. So has cannabis affected your position in maritime industry before? Like,
no, I never, like, as a character actor and, you know, as someone that was working with the Department of Cultural Resources and the different festivals and events that I would do, I never mixed the two. Like, you know, I would never bring products, you know, with me or anything like that. And I would never talk to people about it because that wasn't the conversation that needed to happen at that time. You know, when I'm getting paid to do a job, I'm going to do that job. But people do know me. And people know about my cannabis use. And when they would come up to me privately after hours, you know, when I was no longer that character, they would tell me their stories. And I've collected those stories over the years. And those are the stories that I use as the tools I need to continue to advocate for the legalization that we deserve.
So I like that, because that's like what I do. You share the stories of people that can't speak for themselves because they either died or in jail, or like, it's the truth. They medically can't talk anymore because their mental health pills are not good for some people. So like, so what you have a big event, you're shooting, like you have something coming up July, you're going to do some shooting, like video shooting, I guess, right? Can you explain, can you talk more about that? Like, you did talk a bit about it, but like, yeah.
So July 18th, we are making history, not just in North Carolina, but in the whole United States, because we're filming the first ever pro-cannabis public service announcement video that will air on a statewide broadcast network. What we have done, we've created a public service announcement that will air much like an educational video, but it showcases the beauty of North Carolina. It shows the citizens that make North Carolina the place that people love to call home. And then we flip it to show people that, you know, all of these great citizens, our doctors, our pharmacists, our service industry workers, members of the LGBTQ community, members of every ethnicity, every religion, and every walk of life are looked at by the state they love as criminals, because they choose to use cannabis to manage their chronic conditions. We have a cancer patient who looks out the window and sees a little girl playing on a swing set, and she is handcuffed, holding a bag of marijuana as she looks in the camera and says, I am a criminal for doing whatever it takes to have one more day with my daughter. We have a veteran that's handcuffed, holding a bag of marijuana, that looks in the camera and says, I am a criminal for learning how to manage my PTSD. Yeah. And then we show them emerging out of the house that they were filming those scenes in, where they're in the light now. They're bright. Their clothing has changed. Their makeup has changed. They've been reborn. And then the narrator takes back over as everyone says, I am North Carolina. together in unison, they're celebrating. And then that scene changes to the North Carolina flag, and you hear the narrator say, "We are North Carolina." And then that flag changes into the flag that I created for the campaign with the weed leaf in place of the star, and the words "change is coming" at the bottom. So the regular North Carolina flag morphs into the North Carolina weed flag. And then the narrator says, "And we are the new normal." To find out more how you can help, go to ncnormal.org.
That's
And
awesome. That's awesome.
yeah, we created it that way though, because my dream and my vision is my dog is more popular than I will ever be on the internet. I'm well aware of that. Majority of people follow me because they love pictures of Rosie, and that's fine. What I've decided to do is, once we get this on the air in North Carolina, which we can't do without help, we're going to go on the road to the other states that need it, and I'm going to take her with me. And we're actually going to post on Twitter and social media the different public dog parks that we will be stopped at along the way, so that our supporters can come and have a chance to get their picture taken with her. They can play with her, they can play catch with her, give her belly rubs, whatever they want. But it's just kind of our way to say thank you to everyone that's been such a huge supporter for this all along, because they love seeing pictures of her, because she was my service animal when I had my brain tumor. And she actually benefits from CBD dog treats to help with her anxiety, being a rescue dog.
Wow.
So she's the perfect face for this, and people love her. And she's got the biggest smile you've ever seen. And she can be a derp sometimes, but she's my special little bean, and I'd never trade her for anything in the world. But I want to take her with me because she's been a huge part of this campaign. And I'm hoping that, adding that in, because this is something no one's ever done before. No one's ever packed up everything they have and taken their wife and their dog and decided they were just going to go on the road and try to legalize cannabis in every possible state that they can before the federal government does it.
Yeah.
And that people don't realize, though, is that even once federal legalization happens, there's still work to be done. There's always going to be laws that need to be changed. There's always going to be revisions that need to be made. And by funding this campaign and by taking this PSA on the road, it will allow me to make the connections I need with other branches of NORML, other activist groups, other people like yourself, so that I can bring the power of my voice and the passion that I have for this to any and every person that needs it.
Yeah. So let me jump in, because you talk, you have a lot of history and information, but it doesn't just affect North Carolina, it affects everybody. Because there's so many people in the United States that I know too. I traveled 18 states in less than 8 years and worked with many different people that used it. And it was my job to not stop, but prevent that. But it's if it doesn't happen on the job, who cares? Like you said, you didn't mix the job with your medicine, because it's medicine, and there's worse medication you can take, like Vicodin, Percocets, that can do more harm on a CDL drivers. They can get Percocets, and that can be more dangerous on the road than cannabis, and that's been proven, researched, and everything. So now, how can we support you in your venture throughout the United States? Because it's not
the best way that you can support us is, please go to the Custom Inc fundraiser that we've set up. I've sent you the links for it. I'm sure you can post those here. Buy a t-shirt. If you can't buy a t-shirt with the North Carolina weed flag on it, there's also an option to donate on that site. We need to sell 68 t-shirts in the next 10 days, and we need to raise $1,500 in the next 10 days with the GoFundMe to finish paying for everything to get this PSA on the air. Because even though the production company has agreed to do this at a tremendous discount, they are artists and they do deserve to get paid what they're worth. And so I want to give them their full cost if I can. And I also still have to pay for craft services to feed the crew. And there's a lot of permits and things that come up. I mean, this is not going to be an easy, write one check and be done. And there's going to be a lot of people that are trying to stop me from doing this. I was followed on the way here to do this interview by one of the local sheriffs that knows that I admitted to being a criminal in the North Carolina Senate yesterday for using medicinal cannabis in an illegal state.
Yeah, that's a joke, though. That's a real bad joke, because the cops, there's a lot of cops that I personally know that use cannabis. They're not cops that they got forced to retire because they couldn't. But I bet you there'll be better cops right now if they can go back on the force after they've been treated with cannabis for their PTSD.
Oh, there would be too, But the best way anyone can help support us by giving us the loudest voice in the room, so that we continue to do the fight that needs to be done. And the only way that happens is if we close out this campaign by July 10th, because that's the day I have to make the deposits on a lot of things that I won't get back. And that's the only filming date I have to do this. We have the cast, we have the crew, we have everything, but everything that I've gotten, I still have to pay for. And so that's the thing. And I don't want to take any one large donation from anyone, because then it no longer becomes the voice of the people. I'd rather find 1,500 people that hear this message to give $1 each than I would ever want to take a check for $1,500 from one entity.
So you have two ways you can do it. You have a GoFundMe and you have a t-shirt thing. I
Yeah.
encourage, like, if anybody doesn't want the t-shirt, because I feel there's like, you can donate it back to you and you can donate it to a clothing drive, like to save on shipping costs. And then at the end, like if you could just donate $1, like it's okay, because like it doesn't matter. That dollar can go to feeding somebody and helping support a message that is not getting really enough support from mainstream media, as you can tell, you know. So thank you, Chris. I'm gonna share like everything you shared with me on LinkedIn on my link tree. I show you what I do, and I can share. Like, and I just appreciate it. And thank you for coming. And
it's my anytime you guys need me, I'm always happy to speak up. I mean, an injustice anywhere is an injustice everywhere. And this is not just about North Carolina. This is about the whole of the nation. And this is about healing the nation. And we can do that through the right cannabis legalization for the country we love.
Yeah. So also I want to mention there's a Vanessa, she's doing an East Coast tour, and it's basically like the same exact thing. She's just going to visit different facilities that do cannabis, Veronica Costello.
Right.
And she's like really awesome, and hopefully I get to meet her when she's on the East Coast. I think she's from Florida, which they always say like Florida's East Coast, but it's not. That's like the South.
She may have been one of the speakers that was actually at the South Atlantic Hemp and Arts Expo that I was at last weekend.
Yeah, so she does a lot of advocacy too, and she's been on the East Coast doing some tours. I want to shout her out. That's what I just did.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And thank you for watching. And I put all the links I mentioned in my one link, and you can
message
me. You can message Chris, and I bet we answer all your questions you need. So
I'm